Hey everybody, it's Eduardo Jackson, founder, creator, CEO of the Cinema Draft Game, back with our friend, our family. It is your boy, it is my boy, it is Jay Devlin. How you doing, Jay Devlin?
It's good to be here, brother. They let me out of the sweatshop. I was able to wake up in time for an 11 o'clock podcast, which is a life win for me. Being able to wake up before 11 o'clock these days after working till 4 in the morning. So happy to be here. Very excited for this week, because this week of all weeks, there's going to be a lot more strategies involved. Last week was we saw the grouping at the top 5 or 6 teams were all very, very close. You obviously took it down. I think this week we're going to see a little more differentiation between the call sheets.
Amen to that. And yeah, let's just dive right into it. We were so excited. We were kind of giving away some of our best material pre-record button. So let's kind of get into it. Let's actually, since we've got you back and we've missed you this week, and hopefully we'll get you on for an hour long next week. What do you think, Jay?
Bro, Monday it's on, locked and loaded.
Let's do it. And of course, for you guys, it'll be airing on either Tuesday or Wednesday. So this is your call sheet, and let's, I'll stick this on, present to everyone. So, and give us a little shout out about your call sheet. Explain to us the theory.
This is a simple one, and I came up with this one very, very late. I was on the Indian movie until probably yesterday morning. Bottom line, I'm sticking with Beauty and the Beast. I mean, it's pretty, standard strategy. It's going to do 90 million. If it does 90 million, it's going to be tough to not have 2 of them, unless you are projecting Power Rangers to do better, which we'll get to, because I think you are. I wanted the best limited release. One limited release is exponentially better than the others. It's the Velcro experiment. Yes. There's that one, and everything else is whatever. And then just a 6-pack. What do I have? A 7-pack of Train Spotting.
7 stack. The mega stack.
Here's my take on this. This movie averaged $34,000 a screen last week on 5 screens. All right, it's on 59 screens this week. If it stays the same and does $34,000 a screen, which is probably pretty high, it does $2 million. All right. So even if it does,
wow, yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. So even if it does half the screen average that it did, it still does $1 million. That's still 10 points. That's still 13 points for a headliner. And, if you can get a platform release to do $1 million with the potential, with a ceiling of possibly 1.5 million,
that's pretty major. That's very major.
How am I going to pass that up? Now, granted, the theater counts are very important. We understand that, right? People are starting to get a little more savvy by looking at the theater counts, which makes the game better. So people saw Wilson. Wilson is on 310 screens. I would love it.
Good point. I totally forgot about Wilson with a name star in an indie role, Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. Okay, so it's on 310 screens. That's pretty fucking plush. That's awesome for a platform. That being said, Train Spotting has a bunch of things going for it. For people our age, Train Spotting was a very memorable movie. It was a very iconic movie for us growing up. All right, we remember it's the first time we saw.
It's so proud to be Scottish.
It was Scottish. Remember the guy crawling out of the toilet. There's just so many memorable things about it that, when you saw that movie, you felt like you were in the know. You're like, dude, I saw Train Spotting. I'm cool. So I think for people our age, which there are a lot of them, they're going to rush out and see this. They rushed out and saw it last week when it was on 5 screens. Now it's on 59 screens. It just has more a visceral reaction for people. I'm sure there's a lot of people really excited about it. All the people that are going to REM concerts still are going to go see Train Spotting. All right. All the people going to Talking Head shows, going to see Morrissey, they're going to go see Train Spotting. So I think it's going to be big. It's got a great Rotten Tomatoes score.
It's funny. I was just trying to get there too. I was like, let's see what this Rotten Tomatoes is. It's
great. It's 83, 90. I know it's high.
Okay. Yeah.
And Wilson, on the other hand, again, 300 screens, named star. It just doesn't it's one of those movies that's just Wilson. I don't know what it is. So if I have to it could be about Woodrow Wilson. It could be about Wilson, the neighbor in Home Improvement.
42% Rotten Tomatoes score, by the way.
And a terrible Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm cutting that theater count in half because of those 2 things. So I'm playing it as if Wilson's only in about 150 screens. All right.
And to be honest, if you're going to have a movie like Wilson, one of these, indie movies with, with a named star, the Rotten Tomato score does matter. The reviews do matter. You're going to need someone with, a real, you're going to need that critical support to get you over the hump. So yeah, that's really key.
Ed, who goes and sees indie movies? Movie snobs.
Yeah.
Movie snobs.
Guilty as charged. I'm not your
hero. Regular average Joes who eat at Taco Bell like me don't go see indie movies unless the buzz around this indie movie, let's say when The Wrestler came out, that was an indie movie, had a great Rotten Tomatoes score. I went and saw that at the Lamalay Theater, which had rickety chairs. I was like, cool. So movie snobs, when they see a shitty Rotten Tomatoes score, are going to be scared away by that.
Right.
Whereas Trainspotting,
that makes perfect sense, and I've never framed it as movies. And then I guess as a former or sometimes movie critic, I am by default a movie snob, and that's okay. But I never framed it in those type of in that type of mindset. But that makes perfect sense, and I like where your head's at, J. Devlin. I like that.
Yeah, if Trainspotting does 1.5 million, I don't see any way I can lose. If we're being honest, I mean that's just
1.5 million would be huge. But I kind of guesstimated that I think if it does, if it does, 20,000 per screen on 59 screens, you're looking at almost 1.2 million, and that right there is a huge win. It gets 12 points, across the board for 7 actors plus another 2 that are going to be 40% bonus, 16.8. Oh, you're crushing. You're winning the game right there.
Winning the game, and then nobody can beat me on limited release because I already have the best limited release. Now you got to remember that, when going into this, strategy wise, it's okay to punt positions. We tend to punt limited release more than we punt anything. That being said, if there is one movie in a limited release category that is going to outgross all the other ones exponentially, you can't just give up that advantage. You have to do what you can to get that advantage in that screen type, because you're just giving up too much of an edge if you're just punting a position where one movie is going to dominate everything else.
This is true, and I feel I think in weeks where it's going to be a huge stars and scrubs, we already know basically 2 slots per call sheet are locked up. We pretty much got that. Or generally if last weekend, everyone was going with the headliner stack of Beauty and the Beast. But and when it comes down to the margins, you have to be super careful about what you choose, and like you said, you're absolutely right. You can't always, some weeks you can afford to punt. Some weeks you have to be super discriminating in who you in what you pick for what release type. And you're right, limited does get short shrift lately, but I think it's also seasonal.
Yeah.
I think once it comes late spring, early summer, you see a little more variety with the limited release. Actually, I think limited release is the most powerful limited release is usually in the fall. I would say maybe late September through November-ish, whatever, because that's award season. You get a lot of mid-tier hits, whatever. It's so right now, yeah, it's kind of tough for limited release. But I'm gonna take actually my limited release.
Let me put it more one more term. Let me try and make it a little easier to explain. So I think that we don't look at it this way because the limited release is just probably always the last thing any of us look at. All right. But the difference, so last week, Hebrew Hammer, for some insane fucking reason, decided to not play Beauty and the Beast. All right. Now, Beauty and the Beast, it's the same thing. In the wide release category, there was one movie that was just going to absolutely crush every other movie. So you had to have it because you couldn't afford to make up that difference.
Right.
All right. The same thing. Now, it might not be a 200-point difference where Beauty and the Beast got you 180 or whatever with the platform with their headliners 240, and the second movie got 40 million. The limited release difference is if Belko Experiment gets you 8 for a headliner, and then you don't have anything in Belko, and you're getting 2 points for something. That's 6 points in the minutia. When we're all going to have Beauty and the Beast, that 6 points is gigantic. That might as well be 100 points. That's 6 points.
Last week we saw the difference between second and fifth to be less than a point. So you're absolutely correct. And then let's segue into my call sheet real quick. I took a different tack. I started off experimenting with this actually on my background talent call sheet, and while I was busy tinkering, someone swooped in and stole my spot, so I got locked out of the background talent. Well played. But I took the same strategy and applied it to my feature presentation. I have been trying to work backwards, starting with the background talent and working my way up through the rungs of the contest as I refine my strategy. And I think this one has a shot. Now, so what we're looking at is the cheaper the two headliners in Beauty and the Beast, a headliner stack of Power Rangers. I'll get into that in a second. Headliner stack of the Indian movie. This week it is Filari. They're only 5,100 each, and that afforded me the ability to get a 3-pack of T2 Train Spotting, which includes the headliner stack. Some exposure to song, which, I mean, to me, it's a bit of a coin flip. I mean, I think I mentioned in an earlier podcast how Terrence Malick is just, I mean, it's Terrence Malick. You just don't know. He's not built for box office success, but on 80 screens with really great cast that had decent scores and stuff like that from last weekend, I think it's got a shot. And then my limited release, I truly did punt. I kind of went with Hidden Figures. It probably will only get me 1 or 2 points, even as a headliner. Man, if a headliner, maybe get me 3 or 4 points. But I figured, so the math I involved in my head was this: the Beauty and the Beast, assuming it. So according to our good friends over at Box Office Pro, our infallible friends, they're predicting 81 million, which is like a 55% drop in Beauty and the Beast, which seems
that's a big drop. I think that's a very generous drop off, if we're being honest.
Well, it's a big drop, but I think it's actually, at first I resisted that big a drop off, but it makes sense, and I'll tell you why. Because you're going to have a lot of the, first of all, it seemed like it was going to be front loaded regardless. Second of all, you have a competing, for lack of a better terms, family-esque or childhood property movie coming in with Power Rangers right behind it, and so I think that's definitely going to cannibalize some of the second weekend take of Beauty and the Beast. So especially if Power Rangers does 45, I mean, this 80, it might even go a little bit lower than 80, to be honest with you. But so let's just say we take them at their word at 81. All right, and so with a headliner bonus 40%, you're looking at 113.4 points. Now, I think Power Rangers here is undervalued. They're projecting at 36 million, and I honestly, I put the over under on our Twitter this week for 45 million, and actually, now I think about it, I think it's going to be slightly under. But if Beauty and the Beast comes in at 41 million or more, I've essentially made up the difference between with 3 actors in the space of 2. For Beauty and the Beast. And
is that good strategy? You're paying for 3 actors for what you could get with 2, and you paid extra to do it. You're paying $36,900 to make up the difference for an actor that only cost $26,000. So you wasted $10,000.
Well, yeah, yes and no. What it afforded me to do was have an all but one headliner call sheet where I've got my exposure to T2, and now if T2 does do, I mean, what you did, if T2 does go bonkers like that, I might be. It all kind of comes down to song to song. Song to song holds its own with Trainspotting, and actually, if you look at last weekend's. I know it sounds like I'm really trying to justify it, and I kind of am. I'm not nearly as confident in my call sheet as I was last week. But I will say this, though. This much I do believe in. I mean, with the per-screen averages, which is pretty much the only tea leaves we can go with these movies last week, they were in kind of the same neighborhood.
Why would you? Come on. Song to Song and Trainspotting are like in the same neighborhood as like Compton and Beverly Hills. Give me a break.
Right, but get this, though. Song to Song is actually going to have 21 more screens than T2 Trainspotting, so they might actually be equal. So if they equal out, box office wise, I'm looking kind of sharp. And
Trainspotting did 3 times the theater average last week than Song to Song, and like I feel like it. I mean, it's not like people said, "Ooh, it's in 5 theaters. I'm good." I mean, it's only going to get more. People are only going to get more excited and be like, "Oh, fuck! Trainspotting is in my neighborhood now. I need to go see that movie."
It really does suck because I saw a good review in the Seattle Times online today. I'm like, oh, people are. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on the movie. I just wish I might have had more exposure to it.
Look, man, I like your strategy. The first thing I did when I sat down was think to myself, how do I not play 2 Beauty and the Beast? I really didn't want to. I wanted to be different this week, and I applaud you for doing it. And I really I smiled when I saw your call sheet. I might have, like I said, I think that where you went wrong, not to critique your call sheet.
No. That's what we're here for. Please critique it.
If you were going to gamble on Power Rangers, you then needed to just gamble on another movie completely.
Like Slam and Jam in my best boy.
But like that first lineup you showed me in the feature presentation, you gambled on 3 movies. You gambled on Power Rangers, You gambled on the Indian movie that should honestly you should just write in the Indian movie now for every week instead of what it's called.
Right.
And you gambled on song to song. So like
So
you could have.
this is definitely a tournament strategy call sheet. Is what you're saying.
See, I disagree. I think this is a safe strategy call sheet. I think this is
Oh.
like you were too scared to go all in on
Train spotting.
you were ballsy to do Power Rangers, which I loved. But then you needed to say to yourself, fuck it, I need something weird to happen because I already need something weird to happen with Power Rangers. Now you need something weird to happen, 4 times with Power Rangers, the Indian movie, Train Spotting, and Song to Song. And you didn't even get the Belko experiment.
True, but and to be fair, this is one of those weeks where I figured, and so this is also another piece of strategy I'm kind of developing as we go along through this game, is that there's some weeks where yes, you don't necessarily want to punt an entire release type per se, but there's some weeks where it really doesn't matter because look at this projection. If the highest estimate for a limited release is the Belko experiment at 1.86, I mean 1.86.
I saw 2.5.
Oh, 2.5. Well, all right. Well, even if it's that, even let's say you double that, then you're looking at 2.5 does make more of a difference, to be honest with you. But if I'm going off of this at 1.86, and I honestly have no other places to kind of to check, maybe we'll talk about that off air, where else you're getting your estimates. But if I'm going off this at 1.86, then you're essentially looking at 5.2 points for a headliner. And honestly, if I can make that up, this does hinge. My strategy does hinge entirely on Power Rangers overperforming. If Power Rangers hits 45 million, I'm looking a bit like a genius because then that gives me because then that gives me about maybe a 15-point cushion between the difference of 2 Beauty and the Beast and difference between a Beauty and the Beast and 2 Power Rangers headliners. So I'm banking that this is going to do 42 million or more. 41 million, I believe, draws me even with this strategy right here, and I kind of have to depend on the others to make up the slack. The Indian movie to me is a wild card. It's on 75 screens.
Indian movie.
These suckers come in. You know, I'm gonna start disrespecting this movie. Damn it, Filari, our Indian movie of the week, our 3F of the week. These suckers tend to come in hard on 75 screens. They tend to get like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 per screen. So this even comes in at like $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. This is a really good look.
Death, taxes, and the Indian movie. The only sure things in this
the
world.
First 2 weeks. Yes, the first 2 weeks.
But here would be my prediction for your lineup. You know, I love predicting stuff. It would be your best, I feel like what would happen for you is Power Rangers crushes. Let's say it does weird like Kong numbers where they were off by Kong. I mean, we love Box Office Pro, but they totally whiffed on Kong. Kong was way better. So let's say Power Rangers does 50 million. All right.
And just to give you some context, Deadline Hollywood, they love their breathless Thursday night updates. They racked up Power Rangers racked up 3.6 million last night, and which is just 100,000 shy of Kong Skull Island, which did 3.7 million the night before, the weekend before. So 2 weekends before.
But this is where I think your call sheet might go wrong. Best case scenario, Power Rangers does 45, 50 million.
Okay.
And then this is just again my prediction. I don't think the Indian movie does more than like 500, 600,000.
That's entirely possible too.
And then Song to Song, let's say it does that, but then let's say Train Spotting goes for 1.5, and you're going to be depressed if Power Rangers does 45 million, Train Spotting does 1.5, and then the Indian and Song to Song just totally let you down when you could have just had all Train Spottings, Power Rangers, Beauty and the Beast.
I wasn't brave enough. I like
you were brave enough to play 2 Power Rangers.
That's where my bravery ran out. I only have so much bravery in me for a call sheet. And I want to give big shouts out to Ring Balls 22. He was our feature presentation champion, I believe, 2 weeks ago. He was the one who really put T2 Train Spotting on my radar.
I was so annoyed when I saw that in the chat.
that was your sleeper hit, huh?
Yeah, because I was just I was just monitoring the chat, seeing what people were saying, and I'm like, dude, nobody is even talking about this movie. This is going to be the ultimate Pearl Harbor sneak attack. They're gonna all wake up, look at my call sheet, and be like, "Fuck, Train Spotting."
You were 7.
But I think everybody. I'm confident in my strategy. You have to be confident in your strategy. I think everybody was just a little too limpy. I was going to say limp-dicked, but I did just say it. You were too scared to go all in on Train Spotting, so they went a little sprinkling of Indian movie, a little sprinkling of this and that, and it's just if you're going to do it, just fucking dive in and do it. You
Well,
know?
and here's another call sheet of mine I just want to share real quick. This is me hewing a little bit more to a conventional strategy per se, but unlike you, I didn't do a mega stack of 7 with train spotting, T2 train spotting. But in this one, I have the conventional, 2 headliners from Beauty and the Beast. I've got a 4-pack of train spotting. I've got the headliner stack from Filari, and then I was able to squeeze enough. Then I had money left over to squeeze in Logan, which still should get you about another 8 or 9 million per se. Is that where my 8 points coming from? Logan? Oh yeah, 8.9 million. So as a headliner, that should probably get you around 13, 14 points. And then hidden figures, a bit of a punt for the limited release category. So this, to me, honestly, I think if T2 will crush, I'm pretty sure T2 will crush. The matter that what I'm counting on is that Filari will either hold its own, Logan will get its points, and that'll be enough to either draw even or barely hold you off to, win call sheet of the week for the second straight week. That's the thinking behind this call sheet.
Okay, hey, dude. I mean, outside of the game, I saw Logan last week. That movie was amazing. I mean, it was freaking unbelievably good. He deserves like some Oscar nods or something. Like, he was so incredibly awesome. Like, shed a tear. So, like, yeah, I'm rooting for you in that tournament. You can win a little baby tournament. It's like you can win the Little League World Series. I'm going to win the World Series. I'm going to win the World Baseball Classic.
Well, to be honest with you, all I care about is winning and collecting my side bets, getting that 20 from you, and putting IOUs on you and
well, Hebrew Hammer
was awesome.
But Hebrew Hammer didn't get a lineup into the feature presentation for some reason.
Oh, he sure did not, huh? You know what? Married Life has made him soft.
Is he in any other tournament?
I don't think he's in anything. I don't remember. He's not in anything. He just whiffed. Either that, or he probably set up a lineup or a call sheet like on Tuesday and forgot about it.
What a flat out embarrassment! Guy comes in dead last, loses a bet, does a podcast, and then disappears.
Well, so let's take a look at a couple other call sheets. I want to take a look at Ring Balls 22, and yes, we will shame him in the group chat for his no show this week.
Oh, I love shaming stringers. Shaming him is my favorite thing in the world.
But our side bet's still on, close to the pin. Person with the highest call sheet still wins. That's still good to go. No, actually, I'm sorry. So actually, let's clarify this. Are we going for just the highest call sheet overall, or are we going for the highest
feature presentation only?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm in on that. I need to give you a chance to win your money back. I'm dying out on that all week.
I'm going to win money off you. I'm going to win money off Ring Balls. He said he's in on the bet. So.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
This is his lineup, right here.
This is Ring Balls lineup. He has a headliner stack of Beauty and the Beast, a 4-pack of Train Spotting. He gave some exposure to Wilson. This should be interesting.
It will be. I agree.
I'm not sure if it's going to do what he wants it to do, but I'll be interested to see if it pans out. Because once again, this is the same guy who when everyone had a very similar strategy, had one small deviation, which got him just enough breathing room for him to win the feature presentation. So I would never count Ring Balls 22 out. You're never counting you out, my man.
Well, here's my call sheet versus his call sheet. Here it is. If Wilson does better than Train Spotting, he'll beat me. End of story.
Fair enough.
Unless Belko Experiment does like 3 million or does something weird and like does a little bit more, but like, but like, here's the thing: is Wilson really going to crush Train Spotting? Like, it's not.
I mean, it didn't even show up on the list of estimates over here on the weekend forecast over on Box Office Pro. So yeah, it's not looking good for Wilson. There's zero buzz on it. The Rotten Tomatoes is terrible. I mean, it's got the whole world against it.
People fell in love with that theater count. Which is usually a pretty good strategy. But there's always an outlier. Train Spotting is that outlier this week, where theater count matters, but it doesn't. I mean, it's in enough screens that it's going to do a lot of damage.
Fair enough. True enough. And also, one last one we'll take a look at. It's so hard because all the great players are out this week. Love seeing everyone out here. Smart Ash is out here. Jaybird's back at it.
What's Kelly got? What's Kelly working with this week?
And that's exactly what I was working my way up to. Kelly is the one I always love to watch. She always has such great call sheets. She has
Kelly is a great player at this game. Maybe not her best week.
So for our podcast listeners, Kelly's call sheet includes a headliner stack from Beauty and the Beast. She has a 3-pack of John Wick Chapter 2. I
don't hate that. I don't hate her John Wick call. I think the John Wick call, I mean, it's a little pricey.
how many screens is it on? Is it gonna? Well, you know what? On this pure screen count basis, 403 screens.
Yeah.
It's not the worst call in the world.
I don't think it's a bad call. I like the John Wick call. If it does 800,000, I mean that's not awful.
Well, what's it doing like this? So what did you
it did
first
1.1 it did 1.1 last week.
So basically $1,100 on 1,000 screens. So let's just say, for sake of argument, it makes 1,000 per screen. If it drops to 403 screens, that's 4 point.
No, I don't love it. I don't love it.
Yeah, I gotta love it. I mean, even with the headliner bonus, looking at like 6 points, yeah, it's a tough sell for me. But she has a 3-pack of John Wick, the headliner stack of Song to Song, which might be optimistic. It is Terrence Malick and the Wilson thing, and then Hidden Figures. It was a Stars and Scrubs strategy for sure. Just I'm not sure about the John.
Not the right scrubs.
Yeah, not the right scrubs. And just like how I took the draft mom to task last week for I think she chose John Wick 2. I'm sadly have to take one of my favorite players, Kelly, to task about John Wick 2 as well. So let me ask you this, my man, as we bring the sucker in for landing, are you going to see any movies this weekend when you're not working your
I will not be. I will be working nonstop, and then Sunday I will be going to watch NASCAR out in Fontana.
Vroom.
Yeah, couldn't be more excited. It's going to be a great time. I've never been to NASCAR.
Kentucky. Enjoy yourself.
Oh man, it's just going to be. I'm looking forward. We're going to hit Red Lobster after we go to the race. We're just going to immerse ourselves.
Jalen Rose?
No Jalen. Just going with our buddy Dylan Meeks.
Jalen's podcast, how he loves him some Red Lobster or lobster, actually. Period. I think.
Lobster. He loves lobster tempura. That's his at 21 Prime or whatever it's called in Miami. But going with Dylan Meeks, our resident Southerner, he's from Mississippi, so he is taking a bunch of us to NASCAR to navigate all the incest and all the jean shorts and all just the tomfoolery that will be going on down there. So it should be a good time. I will be checking feeder results while I'm watching those cars make left turns.
Absolutely. Oh goodness gracious! I thought I'd have the sun. That's not what I wanted to see the show. Okay. Yeah, anyway, we are just messing up over here. Anyways, yes, I have a do not disturb my Slack. Why do people try to email me on my Slack? Damn it. Okay, anyway, so yes, we are bringing this in for landing. Sounds like a great time out in Kentucky. I think I'm going to see one of either Life or Power Rangers. I'll be very shocked if I get both in. Got a lot of work ahead of me this weekend, so we shall see. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a very interesting weekend. Once again, the game will be decided in the margins. Looking forward to seeing all your wonderful call sheets. Looking for some surprises. Someone come out of the pack. We tend to have a fairly consistent crew up in the top 5. Someone break through for us. Someone show us something we didn't think of or consider. Have a movie break out and just kind of surprise the hell out of us. That's what I want to see this weekend.
No, I just would like to see myself at the top. This is the first time I've played the same call sheet in all the contests. I've never. I usually just 24/7.
Did you hear that?
And I'm usually very anti that because I think like it's fun to mix and match and do whatever, and it's not fun when one person wins everything. That being said, I can't wait to win everything.
You're out to win everything. You're like, yo, money, you got to pay up. You're out to win everything. I respect the hell out of that. I love your lineup. I'll see you in the DFS streets, my man.
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for joining us as always. Oh, plug your show. Mostly Sports.
Mostly Sports, iHeartRadio, UBN Radio, every Tuesday live, 7 to 9 in studio. Just throw in the Google machine, Mostly Sports, and give it a listen on iTunes, wherever you can find it. Thank you, brother.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us, Jay Devlin, fam of the pod. You find us at all of our social media, usually at Play Cinema Draft or just at Cinema Draft. And send your friends to cinemadraft.co. That is cinemadraft.co. Sign up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tell your friends, tell a friend. Let's get these numbers up, people. Oh, and also support our Thunderclap. It is a organized social media flash mob that is set to detonate on April 2nd. If we get 100 supporters to our Thunderclap, then we will, or more like I will, double the first place prize in the feature presentation and almost triple the prize pool for the week of April 6th. So click that link on our Facebook page or our social media page. It's also pinned on our profile on at Play Cinema Draft on Twitter. Support the Flash Ball. It is free. It costs you nothing. It just shows your support for Cinema Draft, and let's get those numbers up and support the game. Thanks everybody for listening. And this weekend, you know what to do. go see a movie or something.